6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello. I am unmuted. Okay. Sorry. It's been hectic. A day? Whatever. Not feeling very well. But I'm here. I'm alive. Glad you're here with me. Hi. How's your day going? Bit of a hot mess. Don't mind me. Okay. Sorry. Just trying to get situated. Can you hear me? Everything good? No delay? Last time. With my friggin' intro. Rude. Seriously. Everybody ready to see what happens next? See if we get another name for Sun Wukong? I don't even remember what his name is now. So, like the pilgrim. So weird. Yeah. I don't remember what I was doing or gonna say. Guess I'm gonna say hi to chat. See how you guys forgot as usual. The first one here. Most of the time. How's it going? Thanks for always being here, man. Hey, Dom. Well, if you fall asleep, I wouldn't blame you. People read. Like, I'll even sleep reading myself. So. It's also a purpose of this. You guys are seriously talking about weather? Really? Really? If you can hear my refrigerator, I apologize. Hockey talk. Wouldn't should be hockey talky. It's definitely not as gay as basketball or soccer. That's correct. It's absolutely correct. Honestly, it's not as gay as football either. I don't know what that was. the internet suck? I guess it didn't really skip for y'all all that much. Like, it spun for me for a second. So I don't know if it was my camera or my internet. What a day. Back to Dom over here doing his recap. Thank you, Dom. Hey, Gravy D. How's it going? Been a while. If you're still here, as it does say that you're popping in to say hi. Appreciate you being here either way. Yeah, unmuted is always a good start. Thank you. And I'm glad it's better than last week. I wasn't hating on your weather talk. Calm down. Don't be a woman. Meteorological events. Yeah. Yeah. Welcome. Hello. Hi. Thanks for being here. Check out the pinned comment if you so feel. Yeah. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm very distracted. I apologize. I will be in Montana next week, so I don't know if I'll be streaming or not. I'm not going to say that I won't be streaming. But it's possible I might not be. For Thanksgiving. Just depends on how the day goes when I get home from hunting, all of that type of stuff. I'm sure we'll be back by 6 p.m. But yeah. How's everybody doing? LeBron better not tip again. I don't know if I want his money. Elk, deer, grouse. Yep. Those things. I don't know about the grouse. Grouse is generally just like an afterthought. It's probably my dad's last year, so I'm gonna go out and help him if needed. X-ray girl is crooked. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry. Bothering me. Drinker can be crooked because he's drinking. But in like X-ray. I do not like turkey, not that much, no. It's very bland. I don't hate it. I eat it for Thanksgiving, of course. My brother likes it. Yeah, I'm much more of a ham girl than a turkey girl. My dad calls me a turkey, but he calls everyone that. I failed you. I'm sorry. I don't consider that big game, mainly because when I think of that term, it's work related. We go to Africa. Technically, it's big game. It's just not how I think of it. What mug, huh? My mug from China. It's got little pandas on it. And a friend go there one year. I think I've had used this one time. Once or twice, maybe. China. Ugh, you would. The worst part about turkey is the dark meat. That's hilarious. I have a very mouthy cat in the background, so I'm not going to feed him early. That's what he wants. I don't feel like it. So if you can hear him, I apologize. I might break and feed him early, but he's got 20 minutes. He can wait. Well, if you did not read Dom's summary, I'll go ahead and pull it up here. Tripitaka was warned not to go on the journey. It's dangerous and treacherous, and well, he learned his lesson because they got captured by demons, and two of his followers, his disciples, I believe, is what they were called, were killed and eaten. So that was great, awesome. He was shocked, but he learns that the demons can't actually kill him and eat him. Learned it from the man that rescued him. Yeah. And then he gets rescued by a hunter who takes him in. His family like feeds him and stuff. He waits a weirdly long time to tell them that he's a vegetarian. I guess he was just in awe by the hunter killing the tiger. Even though, like he said multiple times, that he would use it as food to feed Tripitaka. Very silly. The next day, well, 2 days later, after leaving the hunter's house, he stayed to do like a burial ceremony for the hunter's father. Yeah. So he stayed for that, and that helped the father pass on. Father came to everybody in their dream and basically told them that yardy yarg. Continuing on, it was a minor part of the story. Yeah, eventually they they meet Monkey or Sun Wukong. Freeze him, and they carry on. Ah, yes. Once he frees him, Monkey does eventually kill some robbers that were going to rob them. Shocking. Which Tripitaka is just like, no, I'm a man of faith. We don't do that. You shouldn't have killed them. You need to be better. Listen to me. So Monkey leaves because he's like, I don't need this crap. This is ridiculous. I protected you. I protected both of us. Whatever. And yeah, so he leaves. Eventually, and Tripitaka eventually meets the Bodhisattva, Guanyin. Um, and like she kind of gets the story. He doesn't know that it's her until she leaves. Um, she gives him a coat, cap, teaches him a spell to control his little minion once he comes back, and she goes on to bring him back essentially. And Monkey had went to the Dragon King, like the East Ocean or something. I can't remember exactly. And basically, the Dragon King tells him that he's being dumb and he needs to go fulfill his promise. So he, of his own volition, goes back. But Tripitaka still thinks that he needs to use this cap and spell control Monkey, which I take issue with because if you need to mind control or torture, as Mudcrab put in the comments of the live stream last week, your followers, then it's bitch made, let's say. It's really not the way of faith. Although I don't know much about Buddhism, maybe it's the way Buddhism works. But it's not my cup of tea. Not, no pun intended with that. But whatever. So yeah. So Tripitaka does like says that it's a gift or that he can wear that. It's from his childhood or some such or other. Basically lies to him, puts it on, starts chanting the spell, and it hurts Monkey. And so he eventually stops. Tripitaka does. He's like crying and says that he'll do whatever he tells him to, blah, 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 blah. Monkey is now under his control because he tortures him, which is so not cool, and I don't like it. But that's where we ended. Isn't that lovely? It's okay, Tom. I remembered along the way. Combo recap. Hi, Cliff. Thank you for my snacks and for being here, but mostly the snacks. Don't get that stuck in my head, you jerk. Rude. It wouldn't happen. I'd rather the cap just completely crush my skull than say something like that. Gross. So there's a recap for you. Hopefully that wasn't too convoluted. I'm gonna take a drink of my tea. Comes with a fancy lid. And obviously gets condensation. It's really good tea. Apple, cinnamon, spice, or something along those lines. Now, if everyone could kindly, I'll get going. Chapter 15. At Serpent Coil Mountain, the gods give secret protection. At Evil Grief Stream, the horse of the will is reign. We were telling you about Pilgrim, who ministered to the Tang monk faithfully as they advanced toward the west. Oh, yeah, that's his name. Pilgrim, like Son Pilgrim, I guess. They traveled for several days under the frigid sky of midwinter. A cold wind blew fiercely, and slippery icicles hung everywhere. They traversed a tortuous path of hanging gorges and cliffs, a parlous range tiered with summits and peaks. As Tripitaka was riding along on his horse, his ears caught the distant sound of a torrent. He turned to ask Wukong, where's the sound coming from? Pilgrim said, the name of this place, I recall, is Serpent Coil Mountain, and there is an eagle reef stream in it. I suppose that's where it's coming from. Before they finished their conversation, they arrived at the bank of the stream. Tripitaka reined in his horse and looked around. He saw a bubbling cold stream piercing through the clouds, its limpid current reddened by the sun. Its splatter in night rain stirs quiet veils. Its colors glow at dawn to fill the air. Wave after wave seems like flying chips of jade, their deep roar resonant at as the clear wind. It flows to join one vast stretch of smoke and tide, where gulls are lost with egrets, but no fishers guide. Master and disciple were looking at the stream when there was a loud splash in midstream and a dragon emerged. Churning the waters, it darted toward the bank and headed straight for the priest. Pilgrim was so startled that he threw away the luggage, hauled the master off his horse, and turned to flee with him at once. The dragon could not catch up with them, but it followed the white horse, harness and all, with one gulp before losing itself again in the water. Pilgrim carried his master to high ground and left the priest seated there. Then he returned to fetch the horse and the luggage. The load of bags was still there, but the horse was nowhere to be seen. Placing the luggage in front of his master, he said, "Master, there's not a trace of that cursed dragon, which was frightened away our horse." "Disciple," said Tripitaka, "how can we find the horse again?" "Relax, relax," said Pilgrim. "Let me go and have a look." He whistled once and leapt up into the air. Shooting his fiery eyes and diamond pupils with his head, he peered in all four directions, but there was not the slightest trace of the horse. Dropping down from the clouds, he made his report, saying, "Master, our horse must have been eaten by that dragon. It's nowhere to be seen." "Disciple," said Tripitaka, "how big a mouth does that creature have that he can swallow a horse, harness and all?" "It must have been frightened away, probably still running loose somewhere in the valley. Please take another look." Pilgrim said, "You really have no conception of my ability. This pair of eyes of mine in daylight can discern good and evil within 1,000 miles. At that distance, I can even see a dragonfly when it spreads its wings. How could I possibly miss something as big as a horse?" "If it has been done," said Putaka, "how am I to proceed? Pity me. How can I walk through those 1,000 hills and 10,000 waters?" As he spoke, tears began to fall like rain. When Pilgrim saw him crying, he became infuriated and began to shout, "Master, stop behaving like a namby-pamby. Sit here. Just sit here. Let old Monkey find that creature and ask him to give us back our horse. That'll be the end of the matter." Clutching at him, Tripitaka said, "Disciple, where do you have to go to find him? Wouldn't I be hurt if he should appear from somewhere after you are gone? How would it be then if both man and horse should perish?" At these words, Pilgrim became even more enraged. "You're a weakling, truly a weakling," he thundered. "You want a horse to ride on, and yet you won't let me go. You want to sit here and grow old, watching our bags?" As he was yelling, he heard someone calling out in midair, "Great sake, son, don't be annoyed. And stop crying, royal brother of Tang. We are a band of deities sent by the Bodhisattva Guanyin to give secret protection to the scripture program." Hearing this, the priest hastily bowed to the ground. "Which divinities are you?" asked Pilgrim. "Tell me your name so that I can check you off the roll." "We are the 6 gods of darkness and the 6 gods of light," they said, "the guardians of 5 points, the 4 sentinels, and the 18 protectors of monasteries. Every one of us waits upon you in rotation." "Which one of you will begin today?" asked Pilgrim. "The gods of darkness and light," they said, "to be followed by the sentinels and the protectors. We guardians of 5 points, with the exception of the golden-headed guardian, will be here somewhere night and day." "That being the case," said Pilgrim, "those not on duty may retire, but the first 6 gods of darkness, the day sentinel, and the guardians should remain to protect my master. Let old Monkey go find that cursed dragon in the stream and ask him for our horse." The various deities obeyed. Only then did Tripitaka feel somewhat relieved as he sat on the cliff and told Pilgrim to be careful. "Just don't worry," said Pilgrim. "Dear Monkey King." He tightened the belt around his silk shirt, hitched up his tiger skin kilt, and went straight toward the gorge of the stream, holding the golden hooped iron rod. Standing halfway between cloud and fog, he cried loudly on top of the water, "Lawless lizard, return my horse! Return my horse!" We now tell you about the dragon who, having eaten the white horse of Tripitaka, was lying on the bottom of the stream, subduing his spirit and nourishing his nature. When he heard someone demanding the horse with abusive language, however, he could not restrain the fire leaping up in his heart, and he jumped up quickly. Turning the waves, he darted out of the water, saying, "Who dares to insult me here with his big mouth?" Pilgrim saw him and cried ferociously, "Don't run away, return my horse." Wielding his rod, he aimed at the beast's head and struck, while the dragon attacked with open jaws and dancing claws. The battle between the two of them before the stream was indeed fierce. You see, the dragon extending sharp jaws, the monkey lifting his rod. The whiskers of this one hung like white jade threads. The eyes of that one shone like red gold lamps. The mouth beneath the whiskers of that one belched colored mist. The iron rod in the hands of this one moved like a fierce wind. That one was a cursed son who brought his parents grief. This one was a monster who defied the gods on high. Both had to suffer because of their plight. They now want to win, so each displays his might. Back and forth, round and round, they fought for a long time until the dragon grew weak and could fight no longer. He turned and darted back into the water. Plunging to the bottom of the stream, he refused to come out again. The Monkey King heaped insult upon insult, but the dragon only pretended to be deaf. Pilgrim had little choice but to return to Tripitaka, saying, "Master, that monster made his appearance as a result of my tongue lashing. He fought with me for a long time before taking fright and running. He's hiding in the water now and refuses to come out again." "Do you know for certain that it was he who ate my horse?" asked Tripitaka. "Listen to the way you talk," said Pilgrim. "If he hadn't eaten it, would he be willing to face me and answer me like that?" "The time you killed the tiger," said Tripitaka, "you claimed that you had the ability to tame dragons and subdue tigers. Why can't you subdue this one today?" As the monkey had a rather low tolerance for any kind of provocation, this single taunt of Tripitaka so aroused him that he said, "Not one more word. Let me go and show him who is master." With great leaps, our Monkey King bounded right to the edge of the stream. Using his magic of overturning seas and rivers, he transformed the clear, limpid water of the Eagle Grief Stream into the muddy currents of the Yellow River during high tide. The cursed dragon in the depths of the stream could neither sit nor lie still for a single moment. He thought to himself, just as blessing never repeats itself, so misfortune never comes singly. It has been barely a year since I escaped execution by heaven and came to bide my time here. But now I have to run into this wretched monster who is trying to do me harm. Look at him. The more he thought about the matter, the more irritated he became. Unable to bear it any longer, he gritted his teeth and leapt out of the water, crying, "What kind of monster are you? And where do you come from that you want to oppress me like this?" "Never mind where I come from," said Pilgrim. "Just return the horse, and I'll spare your life." "I've swallowed your horse into my stomach," said the dragon, "so how am I to throw it up? What are you going to do if I can't return it to you?" Pilgrim said, "If you don't give back the horse, just watch for this rod. Only when your life becomes a payment for my horse will there be an end to this matter." The two of them again waged a bitter struggle between below the mountain ridge. After a few rounds, however, the little dragon just could not hold out any longer. Shaking his body, he changed himself into a tiny water snake and wriggled into the marshes. The Monkey King came rushing up with his rod and parted the grass to look for the snake, but there was not a trace of it. He was so exasperated that the spirits of the three worms in his body exploded, and smoke began to appear from his 7 apertures. He recited a spell beginning with the letter Om and summoned the local spirit and the mountain god of that region. The two of them knelt before him, saying, "The local spirit and the mountain god have come to see you." "Stick out your shanks," said Pilgrim, "and I'll greet each of you with 5 strokes of my rod just to relieve my feelings." "Great sage," they pleaded, "please be more lenient and allow your humble subjects to tell you something." "What have you got to say?" said Pilgrim. "The great sage has been in captivity for a long time," said the two deities, "and we had no knowledge of when you were released. That's why we have not been here to receive you, and we beg you to pardon us." "All right," said Pilgrim, "I won't hit you. But let me ask you something. Where did that monstrous dragon in the Eagle Grief Stream come from? And why did he devour my master's white horse?" "We have never known the great sage to have a master," the two deities said. "For you have always been a first-rank primordial immortal who submits neither to heaven nor to earth. What do you mean by your master's horse?" Pilgrim said, "Of course you didn't know about this. Because of my contemptuous behavior toward heaven, I had to suffer for this 500 years. I was converted by the kindly persuasion of Bodhisattva Guanyin, who had the true monk from the Tang court rescue me. As his disciple, I was to follow him to the western heaven to seek scriptures from Buddha. We passed through this place, and my master's white horse was lost." "So that's how it is," said the two deities. "There has never been anything evil about this stream, except that it is both broad and deep, and its water is so clear that you can see right to the bottom. Large fowls such as crows or eagles are hesitant to fly over it, for when for when they see their own reflections in the clear water, they are prone to mistake them for other birds of their own flock and throw themselves into the stream. Hence the name, the Steep Eagle Grief Stream. Some years ago, on her way to look for a scripture pilgrim, Bodhisattva Guanyin rescued a dragon and sent him here. He was told to wait for the scripture pilgrim and was forbidden to do any evil or violence. Only when he is hungry is he permitted to come up to the banks to feed on birds or antelopes. How could he be so ignorant as to offend the great sage? Pilgrim said, "At first, he wanted to have a contest of strength with me and managed only a few bouts. Afterwards, he would not come out even when I abused him. Only when I used the magic of overturning seas and rivers and stirred up the water did he appear again. And then he still wanted to fight. He really had no idea how heavy my rod was. When finally he couldn't hold out any longer, he changed himself into a water snake and wriggled into the grass. I rushed up here to look for him, but there was no trace of him." "You may not know, great sage," said the local spirit, "that there are countless holes and crevices along these banks, through which the stream is connected with its many tributaries. The dragon could have crawled into any one of these, but there's no need for the great sage to get angry trying to look for him. If you want to capture this creature, all you need to do is to ask Guan Xian to come here. Then he'll certainly surrender." When Pilgrim heard this, he called the mountain god and the local spirit to go with him to see Tripitaka to give an account of what had happened. "If you need to send for the Bodhisattva," said Tripitaka, "when will you be able to return? How can this poor monk endure the cold and hunger?" He had hardly finished speaking when the golden-headed guardian called out from midair, "Great sage, you needn't leave. Your humble subject will go fetch the Bodhisattva." Pilgrim was very pleased, shouting, "Thanks for taking all that trouble. Go quickly." The guardian mounted the clouds swiftly and headed straight for South Sea. Pilgrim asked the mountain god and the local spirit to protect his master and the day sentinel to find some vegetarian food, while he himself went back to patrol the stream, and we shall say no more of that. We now tell you about the golden-headed guardian, who mounted the clouds and soon arrived at South Sea. Descending from the auspicious light, he went straight to the purple bamboo grove of the Podalaka mountain, where he asked the various deities in gold armor and moksha to announce his arrival. The Bodhisattva said, "What have you come for?" "The Tang monk lost his horse at the Eagle Grief stream of the Serpent Coil Mountain," said the guardian, "and the great sage's son was placed in a terrible dilemma. He questioned the local deities, who claimed that the dragon sent by the Bodhisattva to that stream had eaten it. The great sage therefore sent me to request the Bodhisattva to go and subdue the cursed dragon, so that he might get back his horse." Hearing this, the Bodhisattva said that creature was originally the son of Aurun of the Western Ocean. Because in his carelessness he set fire to the palace and destroyed the luminous pearls hanging there, his father accused him of subversion, and he was condemned to die by the heavenly tribunal. It was I who personally sought pardon from the Jade Emperor for him, so that he might serve as a means of transportation for the Tang monk. I can't understand how he could swallow the monk's horse instead, but if that's what happened, I'll have to go over there myself. The Bodhisattva left her lotus platform and went out of the divine cave. Mounting the auspicious luminosity with the guardian, she crossed the South Sea. We have a testimonial poem that says, "Buddha proclaimed the Tripitaka Supreme, which the goddess declared throughout Chang'an. Those great wondrous truths could reach heaven and earth. Those wise, true words could save the spirits damned. They caused gold cicada to cast again his shell. They moved Xuanzang to mend his ways anew. By blocking his path at Eagle Grief Stream, a dragon prince in horse form returns to the real." The Bodhisattva and the guardian soon arrived at the Serpent Coil Mountain. They stopped the hallowed clouds in midair and saw Pilgrim's son down below, shouting abuses at the bank of the stream. The Bodhisattva asked the guardian to fetch him. Lowering his clouds, the guardian went past Tripitaka and headed straight for the edge of the stream, saying to Pilgrim, "The Bodhisattva has arrived." When Pilgrim heard this, he jumped quickly into the air and yelled at her, "You, so-called teacher of the 7 Buddhas and the founder of the faith of mercy, why did you have to use your tricks to harm me?" "You impudent stableman, ignorant red buttocks," said the Bodhisattva. I went to considerable effort to find a scripture pilgrim whom I carefully instructed to save your life. Instead of thanking me, you are finding fault with me. You saved me all right, said Pilgrim. If you truly wanted to deliver me, you should have allowed me to have a little fun with no strings attached. When you met me the other day above the ocean, you could have chastened me with a few words, telling me to serve the Tang monk with diligence, and that would have been enough. Why did you have to give him a flower cap and have him deceive me into wearing it so that I would suffer? Now the fillet has taken root on old monkey's head, and you even taught him some so-called tight fillet spell, which he recites again and again, causing endless pain in my head. You haven't harmed me indeed. The Bodhisattva laughed and said, "Oh, monkey, you are neither attentive to admonition nor willing to seek the fruit of truth. If you are not restrained like this, you'll probably mock the authority of heaven again without regard for good or ill. If you create troubles as you did before, who will be able to control you? It's only through this bit of adversity that you will be willing to enter our gate of yoga." "All right," said Pilgrim. "I'll consider the matter my hard luck. But why did you take that condemned dragon and send him here so that he could become a spirit and swallow my master's horse? It's, it's your fault, you know, if you allow an evildoer to perpetrate his villainies some more. I went personally to plead with the Jade Emperor," said the Bodhisattva, "to have the dragon stationed here so that he could serve as a means of transportation for the scripture pilgrim. Those mortal horses from the land of the East, do you think that they could walk through 10,000 waters and 1,000 hills? How could they possibly hope to reach Spirit Mountain, the land of Buddha? Only a dragon horse could make that journey. But right now he's so terribly afraid of me," said Pilgrim, "that he refuses to come out of his hiding place. What can we do?" The Bodhisattva said to the guardian, "Go to the edge of the stream and say, 'Come out, third Prince Jade dragon of the Dragon King Alrune. The Bodhisattva from South Sea is here. He'll come out then.'" The guardian went at once to the edge of the stream and called out twice. Churning the waters and leaping across the waves, the little dragon appeared and changed at once into the form of a man. He stepped on the clouds and rose up into the air. Saluting the Bodhisattva, he said, "I thank the Bodhisattva again for saving my life. I've waited here a long time, but I've heard no news of the scripture pilgrim." Pointing to Pilgrim, the Bodhisattva said, "Isn't he the eldest disciple of the scripture pilgrim?" When he saw him, the little dragon said, "Bodhisattva, he's my adversary. I was hungry yesterday and ate his horse. We fought over that, but he took advantage of his superior strength and defeated me. In fact, he so abused me that I dared not show myself again. But he has never mentioned a word about scripture seeking." "You didn't bother to ask my name," said Pilgrim. "How did you expect me to tell you anything?" The little dragon said, "Didn't I ask you what kind of a monster are you and where do you come from? But all you did was shout, 'Never mind where I come from, just return my horse.' Since when did you utter even half the word Tang?" "That monkey," said the Bodhisattva, "is always relying on his own abilities. When he when has he ever given any credit to other people? When you set off this time, remember that there are others who will join you. So when so when they ask you, by all means mention first the matter of scripture seeking. They will submit to you without causing you further trouble." Pilgrim received this word of counsel amiably. The Bodhisattva went up to the little dragon and plucked off the shining pearls hanging around his neck. She then dipped her willow branch into the sweet dew in her vase and sprinkled it all over his body. Blowing a mouthful of magic breath on him, she cried, "Change." The dragon at once changed into a horse with hair of exactly the same color and quality as that of the horse he had swallowed. The Bodhisattva then told him, "You must overcome with utmost diligence all the cursed barriers. When your merit is achieved, you will no longer be an ordinary dragon. You will acquire the true fruit of a golden body." Holding the bit in his mouth, the little dragon humbly accepted the instruction. The Bodhisattva told Wukong to lead him to Tripitaka, saying, "I'm returning across the ocean." Pilgrim took hold of her and refused to let go, saying, "I'm not going on. I'm not going on. The road to the west is so treacherous. If I have to accompany this mortal monk, when will I ever get there? If I have to endure all these miseries, I may well lose my life. What sort of merit do you think I'll achieve? I'm not going. I'm not going." In years past, before you reached the way of humanity, said the Bodhisattva, you were most eager to seek enlightenment. Now that you have been delivered from the chastisement of heaven, how could you become slothful again? The truth of nirvana in our teaching can never be realized without faith and perseverance. If on your journey you should come across any danger that threatens your life, I give you permission to call on heaven, and heaven will respond. To call on earth, and earth will prove efficacious. In the event of extreme difficulty, I myself will come to rescue you. Come closer, and I shall endow you with one more means of power. Plucking 3 leaves from her willow branch, the Bodhisattva placed them at the back of Pilgrim's head, crying, change. They changed at once into 3 hairs with life-saving power. She said to him, when you find yourself in a helpless and hopeless situation, you may use these according to your needs, and they will deliver you from your particular affliction. After Pilgrim had heard all these kind words, he thanked the Bodhisattva of great mercy and compassion. With scented wind and colored mists swirling around her, the Bodhisattva returned to Podalaka. Lowering the direction of his cloud, Pilgrim tugged at the mane of the horse and led him to Tripitaka, saying, Master, we have a horse. Highly pleased by what he saw, Tripitaka said, Disciple, how is it that the horse has grown a little fatter and stronger than before? Where did you find him? Master, you are still dreaming, said Pilgrim. Just now, the golden-headed guardian managed to bring the Bodhisattva here, and she transformed the dragon of the stream into our white horse. Except for the missing harness, the color and hair are all the same, and Old Monkey has pulled him here. Where is the Bodhisattva? Asked Tripitaka, greatly surprised. Let me go and thank her. By this time, said Pilgrim, the Bodhisattva has probably arrived at Southsea. There's no need to bother about that. Picking up a few pinches of earth with his fingers and scattering them like incense, Tripitaka bowed reverently toward the south. He then got up and prepared to leave again with Pilgrim. Having dismissed the mountain god and the local spirit and given instructions to the guardians and the sentinels, Pilgrim asked his master to mount. Tripitaka said, How can I ride a horse without harness? Let's find a boat to cross this stream, and then we can decide what to do. This master of mine is truly impractical, said Pilgrim. In the wilds of this mountain, where will you find a boat? Since the horse has lived here for a long time, he must know the water's condition. Just ride him like a boat, and we'll cross over. Tripitaka had no choice but to follow his suggestion and climbed onto the barebacked horse. Pilgrim took up the luggage, and they arrived at the edge of the stream. Then they saw an old fisherman punting downstream toward them in an old wooden craft. When Pilgrim caught sight of him, he waved his hands and called out, Old fisherman, come here, come here. We come from the land of the East to seek scriptures. It's difficult for my master to cross, so please take us over. Hearing these words, the fisherman quickly punted the raft up to the bank. Asking his master to dismount, Pilgrim helped Tripitaka onto the raft before he embarked the horse and the luggage. That old fisher punted the raft away, and like an arrow in the wind, they crossed the steep Eagle Grief stream swiftly and landed on the western shore. Tripitaka told Pilgrim to untie a bag and take out a few tang pennies to give to the old fisherman. With a shove of his pole, the old fisherman pulled away, saying, I don't want any money. He drifted downstream and soon disappeared from sight. Feeling very much obliged, Tripitaka kept folding his hands to express his gratitude. Master, said Pilgrim, you needn't to be so solicitous. Don't you recognize him? He is the water god of this stream. Since he didn't come to pay his respects to Old Monkey, he was about to get a beating. It's enough that he is now spared from that. Would he dare take any money? The master only half believed him when he climbed onto the barebacked horse once again. Following Pilgrim, he went up to the main road and set off again toward the west. It would be like this that they, through the vast thusness, reach the other shore, and climb with hearts unfeigned the spirit mount. Master and disciple journeyed on, and soon the fiery sun sank westward as the sky gradually darkened. You see, clouds hazy and aimless, a mountain moon dim and gloomy. The sky, all frosty, builds the cold. Howling wind around cuts through you. One bird is lost amidst the pale, wide sandbars, as twilight glows where the distant hills are low. 1,000 trees roar in sparse woods, one ape cries on a barren peak. No traveler is seen on this long road when boots from afar return to the night. There we go. As Tripitaka, riding his horse, peered into the distance, he suddenly saw something like a hamlet beside the road. Wukong, he said, there's a house ahead of us. Let's ask for lodging there and travel again tomorrow. Raising his head to take a look, Pilgrim said, Master, it's no ordinary house. Why not? Said Tripitaka. If it were an ordinary house, said Pilgrim, there would be no flying fishes or reclining beasts decorating the ridge of its roof. That must be a temple or an abbey. While they were speaking, master and disciple arrived at the gate of the building. Dismounting, Tripitaka saw on the top of the gate 3 large characters. Lishe Shrine. They walked inside, where they were met by an old man with some beads hanging around his neck. He came forward with hands folded, saying, Master, please take a seat. Tripitaka hastily returned his salutation and then went to the main hall to bow to the holy images. The old man called a youth to serve tea, after which Tripitaka asked him, Why is this shrine named Lishe? The old man said, This region belongs to the Hamel kingdom of the Western barbarians. There is a village behind the shrine, which was built from the piety of all its families. The Li refers to the land owned by the whole village, and the She is the god of the soil. Maybe it's Lishi? Laishi. I don't know. During the days of spring sowing, summer plowing, autumn harvesting, and winter storing, each of the families would bring the 3 beasts, flowers, and fruits to sacrifice at the shrine, so that they might be blessed with good luck in all 4 seasons, a rich harvest of the 5 grains, and prosperity in raising the 6 domestic creatures. When Tripitaka heard these words, he nodded his head to show his approval, saying, This is truly like the proverb. Even 3 miles from home, there are customs entirely distinct. The families in our region do not practice such good works. Then the old man asked, Where is the honorable home of the master? Your poor monk, said Tripitaka, happens to have been sent by the royal decree from the great Tang nation in the east to go to seek scriptures from Buddha in the western heaven. It was getting rather late when I passed your esteemed edifice. I therefore came to your holy shrine to ask for a night's lodging. I'll leave as soon as it gets light. The old man was delighted and kept saying, Welcome, welcome. He called the youth again to prepare a meal, which Tripitaka ate with gratitude. As usual, Pilgrim was extremely observant. Noticing a rope for hanging laundry tied under the eaves, he walked over to it and pulled at it until it snapped in 2. He then used the piece of rope to tie up the horse. Where did you steal this horse? Asked the old man, laughing. Old man, said Pilgrim angrily, watch what you are saying. We are holy monks going to worship Buddha. How could we steal horses? If you didn't steal it, laughed the old man, why is there no saddle or rein so that you have to rip up my clothesline? This rascal is always so impulsive, said Tripitaka apologetically. If you wanted to tie up the horse, why didn't you ask the old gentleman properly for a rope? Why did you have to rip up his clothesline? Sir, please don't be angry. Our horse, to tell you the truth, is not a stolen one. When we approached the Eagle Grief stream yesterday from the east, I had a white horse complete with harness. Little did we anticipate that there was a condemned dragon in the stream who had become a spirit and who swallowed my horse in one gulp, harness and all. Fortunately, my disciple has some talents, and he was able to bring the Bodhisattva Guanyin to the stream to subdue the dragon. She told him to assume the form of my original white horse, so that he could carry me to worship Buddha in the western heaven. It has barely been 1 day since we crossed the stream and arrived at your holy shrine. We haven't had time to look for a harness. Master, you needn't worry, said the old man. An old man like me loves to tease, but I had no idea your esteemed disciple was so serious about everything. When I was young, I had a little money, and I too loved to ride. But over the years, I had my share of misfortunes. Deaths in the family and fires in the household have not left me much. Thus, I am reduced to being a caretaker here in the shrine, looking after the fires and incense, and dependent on the goodwill of the patrons in the village back there for a living. I still have in my possession a harness that I have always cherished, and that even in this poverty I couldn't bear to sell. But since hearing your story, how even the Bodhisattva delivered the divine dragon and made him change into a horse to carry you, I feel that I must not withhold from from giving either. I shall bring the harness tomorrow and present it to the master, who, I hope, will be pleased to accept it. When Tripitaka heard this, he thanked him repeatedly. Before long, the youth brought in the evening meal, after which lamps were lit and the beds prepared. Everyone then retired. Next morning, Pilgrim arose and said, Master, that old caretaker promised last night to give us the harness. Ask him for it. Don't spare him. He had hardly finished speaking when the old man came in with a saddle, together with pads, reins, and the like. Not a single item needed for riding a horse was lacking. He set them down in the corridor, saying, Master, I am presenting you with this harness. When Tripitaka saw it, he accepted it with delight and asked Pilgrim to try the saddle on the horse. Going forward, Pilgrim took up the accoutrement and examined them piece by piece. They were indeed some magnificent articles for which we have a testimonial poem. I'm going to drink tea before I read the stupid poem. Hiya, Tomby. Hope you're well. The poem says, the carved saddle shines with studs of silver stars. The precious seat glows with bright threads of gold. The pads are stacks of fine-spun woolen quilts. The reins are 3 bands of purple cords of silk. The bridle's leather straps are shaped like flowers. The flaps have gold-etched forms of dancing beasts. The rings and bit are made of finest steel. Waterproof tassels dangle on both sides. Secretly pleased, Pilgrim put the saddle on the back of the horse, and it seemed to have been made to measure. Tripitaka bowed to thank the old man, who hastily raised him up, saying, It's nothing. What do you need to thank me for? The old man did not ask them to stay any longer. Instead, he urged Tripitaka to mount. The priest came out of the gate and climbed into the saddle, while Pilgrim followed, hauling the luggage. The old man then took a whip out from his sleeve with a handle of rattan wrapped in strips of leather, and the strap knitted with cords made of tiger ligaments. He stood by the side of the road and presented it with hands uplifted, saying, Holy monk, I have a whip here that I may as well give you. Tripitaka accepted it on his horse, saying, Thanks for your donation. Thanks for your donation. Even as he was saying this, the old man vanished. The priest turned around to look at the Lishe shrine, but it had become just a piece of level ground. From the sky came a voice saying, Holy monk, I'm sorry not to have given you a better reception. I am the local spirit of Podalaka Mountain, who was sent by the Bodhisattva to present you with the harness. You too must journey to the west with all diligence. Do not be slothful in any moment. Tripitaka was so startled that he fell off his horse and bowed toward the sky, saying, Your disciple is of fleshly eyes and mortal stock, and he does not recognize the holy visage of the deity. Please forgive me. I beseech you to convey my gratitude to the Bodhisattva. Look at him. All he could do was to kowtow toward the sky without bothering to count how many times. By the side of the road, the great sage son reeled with laughter. The handsome monkey king broke up with hilarity. He came up and tugged at his master, saying, Master, get up. He is long gone. He can't hear you, nor can he see your kowtowing. Why keep up this adoration? Disciple, said the priest, when I kowtowed like that, all you could do was to stand snickering by the side of the road with not even a bow. Why? Why stand snickering? You wouldn't know, would you? Said Pilgrim. For playing a game of hide-and-seek like that with us, he really deserves a beating. But for the sake of the Bodhisattva, I'll spare him. And that's something already. You think he dares accept a bow from Old Monkey? Old Monkey has been a hero since his youth, and he doesn't know how to bow to people. Even when I saw the Jade Emperor and Lao Jai, I just gave them my greeting, that's all. Blasphemy, said Tripitaka. Stop this idle talk. Let's get going without further delay. So the priest got up and prepared to set off again toward the west. After leaving that place, they had a peaceful journey for 2 months. For all they met were barbarians, Muslims, tigers, wolves, and leopards. Time went by swiftly, and it was again early spring. You could see jade green gilded the mountain forest and green sprouts of grass appearing. The plum blossoms were all fallen, and the willow leaves gently budding. As master and disciple were admiring the scenery of spring, they saw the sun sinking westward again. Reining the horse, Tripitaka peered into the distance and saw at the fold of the hill the shadow of buildings and the dark silhouette of towers. Wukong, said Tripitaka, look at the buildings over there. What sort of a place is that? Stretching his neck to look, Pilgrim said, it has to be either a temple or a monastery. Let's move along and ask for lodging over there. Tripitaka was glad to follow this suggestion and urged his dragon horse forward. We do not know what took place thereafter. Let's listen to the explanation in the next chapter. Okay, you don't have to fuck off anymore. I'm not reading currently. Did you guys guess that it was the dragon before, or the dragon horse? The transportation dragon? Before the book told us? No, Cliff, I do not need you to send me the link to the song, but thank you. Hey, it's a lid. It's not a coaster. I do have a coaster. I don't use it, but thanks, I guess. Technically, the coaster that I have is right here. It has my name on it. In Japanese, it's from the local office in Japan that I work with at work. They came to visit. Oh, Lord. Was that from last year? I think it was last year. Yeah. For a meeting. And they also brought, I missed them this year, but they always bring gifts because Japan is awesome like that. I can get this untied. There we go. This year's gift that they brought is a stamp. And like this right here, the actual stamp. It's not my full name, obviously. It technically is Tifa, kind of. It's missing a little bit of the fa. Technically, that'd be like foo, because it doesn't have the proper character at the end of it. But okay. So like here's the case. It's got little cherry blossoms on it. God, it's so hard to see. It sucks. Can't really see it. And then this is like the stamp. It's pink, but I don't care because cherry blossoms are my favorite. And then there's like the ink pad. Super cool. Cool to me at least. And then like the end, you can kind of see where the stamp goes. It's really cool. But I'm pretty much a sucker for anything from Japan. Anyway. I love little tchotchkes and things like that. So, do me. Yes, I'm a freak and I need to tie it back up. Don't judge me. Here we go. But anyway, yeah, I have a coaster and it has my name on it. I just don't use it because it's too fancy and I don't want to ruin it. So it kind of doesn't serve the purpose that it should. But I don't care. Well, I'm sorry, you guys. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to guess what the issue is. Oh, hey, Colson. Because I'm going to say the wrong thing and look and sound stupid. So I apologize if you couldn't pick up on everything, guys. Yeah, the horse got eaten. Yeah, 5 strokes of his rod. This is an interesting book. I feel like Monkey was a little annoying in the first of the story, but they're making him likable in this part. Yeah. It's almost like he was naive in the beginning. He's still naive, like to his own flaws. Like I said, hello. Hello and hail, Tomby. But yes, he's becoming more sympathetic. To me, it's because he's currently got a torture device on his head to keep him in line, which is so not cool. In my eyes, it's not going to teach him shit when it's like actual torture. Discipline is fine, but torture, like really, it's just going to make you resentful. But Monkey seems to be fine with it now. Do you want me to just call him Wukong or Goku? Because that's who he is. Or the Great Sage, whenever it says Pilgrim. Team Dragon? So you like the dragon more than Monkey? I guess I could just call him Monkey. Ah, cool. So the sound fixed itself. I'm not going to sing that. It should be T-I. And see, you put T-I at the end, too. It's the same word. Or sound. It's not really a word. So it'd be like Domu or Dominiku. Dominiku. I believe that's how they would say it, yes. Dominiku for Dominic. Or Domu for Dom. Of course you will. The feeling's mutual. Or the judgment is mutual? Whatever. Ah, so it's on Dom's end. I see. Oh, when I was reading and I stumbled over something. Fine. Oh, no, when I was talking about the stamp. Never mind. Got it. Yes, Dom. Say wow all you want. So how's everybody else feeling about our friend Monkey here? I don't know. I don't really like the Pilgrim, like the actual Pilgrim, Tripitaka. It's kind of annoying me. Like a lot. I'm going to warm up my tea. I'll be right back. I am so used to streaming with other people that every time I go to like sit down when I do stuff on this stream, I always want to put my headphones back in first. Why do I need to make him say this? For his sound failing. You don't know me. But yes, I did feed them. You know, being a vegetarian does not help his case. That is absolutely correct. I judge people harshly who are vegetarians. I have a friend who's a vegetarian, and I judge her harshly. Though I haven't talked to her in years, so it's not exactly a close friendship anymore. Not bad. Who knows? Maybe I'll get to 3 chapters this stream. No guarantees. Chapter 16. At Guanyin Hall, the monks plot for the treasure. At Black Wind Mountain, a monster steals the cassock. We were telling you about the disciple and master who urged the horse forward and arrived at the front gate of the building. They saw that it was indeed a monastery, with tiers of towers and turrets, and rows of quiet chambers. Above the temple gate hung the august panoply? I've never known how to say that word. Of colored nimbus. Panoply of colored nimbus. Before the hall of 5 blessings whirled 1,000 strands of bright red mists. 2 rows of pines and bamboos, 1 grove of juniper and cypress. 2 rows of pines and bamboos revealed their fair virtue unspoiled by time. 1 grove of juniper and cypress displayed its chaste beauty in comely hues. They saw also the tall bell tower, the pagoda rugged, monks in silent meditation, and birds on trees gently cooing. A dustless seclusion was the real seclusion, for the quiescence of Tao was truly quiescent. Redundant department of redundancy. The poem says, this temple, like Jetavana, hides in a jade green grove. Its beauty surpasses even the Sadvarsa. Pure land among mankind is rare indeed. This world's famed mountains are mostly held by monks. The priest dismounted, and Pilgrim laid down his load. They were about to walk through the gate when a monk came out. How does he look, you ask? He wore a hat pinned to the left and a robe most spotlessly pure. 2 brass rings hung from his ears. A silk sash was wrapped around his waist. His straw sandals moved sedately. His hands carried a wooden fish. His mouth recited constantly the wisdom he sought most humbly. When Tripitaka saw him, he stood waiting by the gate and saluted with his palms pressed together in front of him. The monk returned the greeting at once and said, laughing, I'm sorry, but I don't know you. He then asked, where do you come from? Please come in for some tea. Your disciple, said Tripitaka, has been sent by royal decree from the land of the east to go to seek scriptures from Buddha in the temple of Thunderclap. It was getting late when we arrived here, and we would like to ask for a night's lodging in your fair temple. Please take a seat inside, said the monk. Only then did Tripitaka call Pilgrim to lead the horse inside. When the monk caught sight of Pilgrim's face, he became somewhat afraid and asked, "What's that thing leading the horse?" "Speak softly," said Tripitaka. "He's easily provoked. If he hears you referring to him as a thing, he'll get mad. He happens to be my disciple." With a shiver, the monk bit his finger and said, "Such a hideous creature, and you made him your disciple?" Tripitaka said, "You can't tell by mere appearance. He may be ugly, but he is very useful." That monk had little choice but to accompany Tripitaka and Pilgrim as they entered the temple gate. Inside, above the main hall's entrance, the words Guanyin Chan Hall were written in large letters. Highly pleased, Tripitaka said, "This disciple has repeatedly benefited from the holy grace of the Bodhisattva, though he has had no opportunity to thank her. Now that we are at this Chan Hall, it is as if we were meeting the Bodhisattva personally, and it is more proper that I should offer my thanks." When the monk heard this, he told one of the attendants to open wide the door of the hall and invited Tripitaka to worship. Pilgrim tied up the horse, dropped his luggage, and went with Tripitaka up the hall. Stretching his back and then flattening himself on the ground, Tripitaka kowtowed to the golden image as the monk went to beat the drum, and Pilgrim began to strike the bell. Prostrating himself before the seat of the deity, Tripitaka poured out his heart in prayer. When he finished, the monk stopped the drum, but Pilgrim continued to strike the bell without ceasing. Now rapidly, now slowly, he persisted for a long time. The attendant said, "The service is over. Why are you still striking the bell?" Only then did Pilgrim throw away the hammer and say, laughing, "You wouldn't know this. I'm just living by the proverb. If you are a monk for a day, strike then the bell for a day." By then, the monks young and old of the monastery and the elders of upper and lower chambers were all aroused by the unruly sound of the bell. They rushed out together, crying, "Who is the maniac fooling with the bell?" Pilgrim leapt out of the hall and shouted, "Your grandpa's son sounded it to amuse himself." The moment the monks saw him, they were so frightened that they tumbled and rolled on the ground. Crawling around, they said, "Father Thunder." "He's only my great-grandson," said Pilgrim. Get up, don't be afraid. We are noble priests who have come from the great Tang nation in the east." The various monks then bowed courteously to him, and when they saw Tripitaka, they were even more reassured. One of the monks, who was the abbot of the monastery, said, "Let the holy fathers come to the living room in the back so that we may offer them some tea." Untying the reins and leading the horse, they picked up the luggage and went past the main hall to the back of the monastery, where they sat down in orderly rows. After serving tea, the abbot prepared a vegetarian meal, although it was still rather early for dinner. Tripitaka had not finished thanking him when an old monk emerged from the rear, supported by two boys. Look how he was attired. He wore on his head a Vairocana hat, topped by a precious, shining cat's eye stone. He wore on his body a brocaded woolen frock, piped brilliantly in gold and kingfisher feathers. A pair of monk shoes on which 8 treasures were set, and a priestly staff encased with starry gems. His face full of wrinkles, he looked like the old witch of Lee Mountain. His eyes were dim-sighted, though he seemed a dragon king of the eastern ocean. Wind stabbed his mouth, for his teeth had fallen, and palsy had made crooked his aged back. The various monks made the announcement, "The patriarch is here." Tripitaka bowed to receive him, saying, "Old abbot, your disciple bows to you." The old monk returned the gesture, and they were both seated. "Just now I heard the little ones announcing," said the old monk, "that venerable fathers from the Tang court have arrived from the east. I came out specifically to meet you." "Without knowing any better," said Tripitaka, "we intruded into your esteemed temple. Please pardon us." Please, said the old monk. "May I ask the Holy Father what the distance is between here and the land of the east?" "Since leaving the outskirts of Chang'an," said Tripitaka, "I traveled for some 5,000 miles before passing the mountain of 2 frontiers, where I picked up a little disciple." Moving on, we passed through the Hamel kingdom of the Western barbarians, and in 2 months we had traveled another 5 or 6,000 miles. Only then did we arrive at your noble region. Well, you have covered the distance of 10,000 miles, said the old monk. This disciple truly has spent his life in vain, for he has not even left the door of the temple. I have, as the saying goes, sat in the well to look at the sky, a veritable piece of dead wood. Then Tripitaka asked, "What is the honorable age of the old abbot?" "Foolishly, I have reached my 270th year," said the old monk. When Pilgrim heard this, he said, "You are only my descendant of the 10,000th generation." "Careful," said Tripitaka, looking at him sternly. "Don't offend people with your brashness." "And you, elder?" asked the old monk. "How old are you?" "I dare not tell," said Pilgrim. That old monk thought it was just a foolish remark. He paid no further attention, nor did he ask again. Instead, he called for tea to be served, and a young cleric brought out a tray made of milk-white jade, on which there were 3 cloisonne cups with gold edges. No idea what that word is. It looks French. Another youth brought out a white copper pot and poured 3 cups of scented tea, truly more colorful than camellia buds and more fragrant than cassia flowers. When Tripitaka saw these, he could not cease making compliments, saying, "What marvelous things, what marvelous things. A lovely drink indeed, and lovely utensils." "Most disgraceful stuff," said the old monk. "The Holy Father resides in the heavenly court of a great nation, and he has witnessed all kinds of rare treasures. Things like these are not worthy of your praise. Since you have come from a noble state, do you have any precious thing you can show me?" "It's pathetic," said Tripitaka. "We have no precious thing in the land of the East, and even if we had, I could not bring it with me because of the distance." From the side, Pilgrim said, "Master, I saw a cassock the other day in our bag. Isn't that a treasure? Why not take it out and show it to him?" When the other monks heard him mentioning a cassock, they all began to snicker. "What are you laughing at?" asked Pilgrim. The abbot said, "To say that a cassock is a treasure, as you just did, is certainly laughable. If you want to talk about cassocks, priests like us would possess more than 20 or 30 such garments. Take the case of our patriarch, who has been a monk here for some 250 years. He has over 700 of them." He then made the suggestion, "Why not take them out for these people to see?" That old monk certainly thought it was his show this time. He asked the attendants to open up the storage room and the dudas to bring out the chests. They brought out 12 of them and set them down in the courtyard. The padlocks were unlocked. Clothes racks were set up on both sides, and ropes were strung all around. One by one, the cassocks were shaken loose and hung up for Tripitaka to see. It was truly a room full of embroidery, 4 walls of exquisite silk. Glancing at them, one by one, Pilgrim saw that they were all pieces of fine silk, intricately woven and delicately embroidered, splashed with gold. He laughed and said, "Fine, fine, fine, now pack them up. Let's take ours out for you to look at." Pulling Pilgrim aside, Tripitaka said softly, "Disciple, don't start a contest of wealth with other people. You and I are strangers away from home, and this may be a mistake." "Just a look at the cassock," said Pilgrim. "How can that be a mistake?" "You haven't considered this," said Tripitaka. "As the ancients declared, the rare object of art should not be exposed to the covetous and deceitful person. For once he sees it, he will be tempted, and once he is tempted, he will plot and scheme. If you are timid, you may end up yielding to his every demand. Otherwise, injury and loss of life may result, and that's no small matter." "Relax, relax," said Pilgrim. "Old Monkey will assume all responsibility. Look at him." He did not permit any further discussion. Darting away, he untied the bag, and brilliant rays at once came flashing through the 2 layers of oil paper in which the garment was wrapped. He discarded the paper and took out the cassock. As he shook it loose, a crimson light flooded the room, and glorious air filled the courtyard. When the various monks saw it, none could suppress the admiration in his heart and the praise on his lips. It was truly a magnificent cassock. "It has hanging on it," Sparkling pearls, marvelous in every way, and Buddha's treasures in each aspect rare. Up and down spreads grapevine weave on gorgeous silk. On every side are hems of fine brocade. Put it on, and goblins will then be slain. Step in it, and demons will flee to hell. It's made by those hands of gods incarnate. He who's not a true monk dares not wear it. When the old monk saw a treasure of such quality, he was indeed moved to villainy. Walking forward, he knelt down before Tripitaka, and tears began to fall from his eyes. This disciple truly has no luck, he said. Old abbot, said Tripitaka, raising him up, what do you mean? It was already getting late, he said, when the venerable father spread this treasure out, but my eyes are dim and I can't see clearly. Isn't this my misfortune? Bring out the lamps, said Tripitaka, and you can take a better look. The old monk said, the treasure of the father is already dazzling. If we light the lamps, it will become much too bright for my eyes, and I'll never be able to see it properly. How would you like to see it? Asked Pilgrim. If the venerable father is inclined to be gracious, replied the old monk, please permit me to take it back to my room, where I can spend the night looking at it carefully. Tomorrow I shall return it to you before you continue your journey to the west. How would that be? Startled, Tripitaka began to complain to Pilgrim, saying, It's all you're doing. It's all you're doing. What are you afraid of? Said Pilgrim, laughing. Let me wrap it up, and he can take it away. If there's any mishap, Old Monkey will take care of it. Tripitaka could not stop him. He handed the cassock over to the monk, saying, You may look at it, but you must give it back tomorrow morning, just as it is. Don't spoil or damage it in any way. The old monk was very pleased. After telling the young cleric to take the cassock inside, he gave instructions for the various monks to sweep out the Chan hall in front. 2 rattan beds were sent for, and the bedding was prepared so that the 2 travelers could rest. He gave further instructions for sending them off with breakfast in the morning, after which everyone left. Master and disciple closed up the hall and slept, and we shall say no more of that. We shall now tell you about the old monk, who had got hold of the cassock by fraud. He took it beneath the lamps in the back room and sat in front of it bawling. The chief priest of the monastery was so startled that he dared not retire first. The young cleric, not knowing the reason for the weeping, went to report to the other monks, saying, The aged father has been crying, and it's now the 2nd watch, and he still hasn't stopped. 2 grand disciples, who were his favorites, went forward to ask him, Grand Master, why are you crying? I'm crying over my ill luck, replied the old monk, for I cannot look at the treasure of the Tang monk. One of the little monks said, The aged father is becoming a little senile. The cassock is placed right before you. All you have to do is untie the package and look at it. Why do you have to cry? But I can't look at it for long, said the old monk. I'm 270 years old, and yet I have bargained in vain for those several hundred cassocks. What must I do to acquire that one cassock of his? How can I become the Tang monk himself? The Grand Master is erring, said the little monk. The Tang monk is a mendicant who had to leave his home and country. You are enjoying the benefits of old age here, and that should be sufficient. Why do you want to be a mendicant like him? The old monk said, Though I'm relaxing at home and enjoying my declining years, I have no cassock like his to put on. If I can put it on for just one day, I'll die with my eyes shut, for then I shall not have been a monk in vain in this world of light. What nonsense, said another monk. If you want to put it on, what's so difficult about that? Tomorrow we will ask them to stay for one more day, and you can wear it the whole day. If that's not enough, we'll detain them for 10 days so that you can wear the cassock all that time. That will be the end of the matter. Why do you have to cry like this? Even if they were to be detained for a whole year, said the old monk, I would only be able to wear it for 1 year. That's not long lasting. The moment they want to leave, we will have to return it. How can we make it last? As they were speaking, one of the little monks, whose name was Great Wisdom, spoke up. Aged father, if you want it to last, that's easy too. When the old monk heard that, he brightened up. My son, he said, what profound thoughts do you have? Great Wisdom said, the Tang monk and his disciples are travelers and are subjected to a lot of stress and strain, so they are fast asleep now. I suppose a few of us who are strong could take up knives and spears, break open the Chan hall, and kill them. We could bury them in the backyard, and only those of us within the family would know about it. We could also take over the white horse and the luggage, but the cassock could be kept as an heirloom. Now, isn't this a plan made to last through posterity? When the old monk heard this, he was filled with delight. Wiping away his tears, he said, "Good, good, good. This plan is absolutely marvelous." He asked at once for knives and spears. There was in their midst another little monk, whose name was Big Plan, who was the younger classmate of Great Wisdom. Coming forward, he said, "That plan is no good. If you want to kill them, you must first assess the situation. It's easy to take care of the one with the white face, but the hairy face presents more difficulty. If for some reason you are unable to slay him, you might bring disaster upon yourselves. I have a plan that does not call for knives or spears. How do you feel about this?" "My son," said the old monk, "what sort of plan do you have?" "In the opinion of your little grandson," said Big Plan, "we can call up all the resident heads, both senior and junior, in the eastern wing of this monastery, asking each person and his group to bring a bundle of dried firewood. We'll sacrifice the 3 rooms of the Chan Hall and set fire to them. The people inside will be barred from all exits. Even the horse will be burned with them. If the families who live in front of the temple or behind it should see the fire, we can say that they caused it by their carelessness and burned down our Chan Hall. Those 2 monks will surely be burned to death, but no one will know any better. After that, won't we have the cassock as our heirloom?" When the monks heard this, they were all delighted. "Better, better, better. This plan is even more marvelous, they all said. They sent for the resident heads at once to bring firewood. Alas, this single plan will have the result of a venerable old monk ending his life, and the Guanyin Chan Hall reduced to dust. That monastery, you see, had over 70 suites, and some 200 monks resided there. Hordes of them went to fetch firewood, which they stacked around the Chan Hall until it was completely surrounded. They then made plans to light the fire, but we shall say no more of that. We must now tell you about Tripitaka and his disciple, who had already gone to rest. That pilgrim, however, was a spiritual monkey. Though he lay down, he was only exercising his breath to preserve his spirit, with his eyes half closed. Suddenly, he heard people running around outside and the crackling of firewood in the wind. "This is a time for quietness," he said to himself, his suspicion fully aroused. "So why do I hear people walking about? Could they be thieves plotting against us?" Whirling around, he leapt up and would have opened the door to look outside had he not been afraid of waking his master. Look at him display his abilities. With one shake of his body, he changed into a bee. Truly, he had a sweet mouth and vicious tail, a small waist and light body. He cut through flowers and willow like a dart. He sought like a meteor the scented pollen. His light, tiny body could bear much weight. His thin wings buzzing could ride the wind. Descending from rafters and beams, he crawled out to get a clear view. He then saw that the various monks were hauling hay and carrying firewood surrounding the Chan Hall. They were about to light the fire. "What my master said has really come true," said Pilgrim, smiling to himself. "Because they wanted to take our lives and rob us of our cassock, they were moved to such treachery. I suppose I could use my rod to attack them, but I'm afraid they wouldn't be able to withstand it. A little beating, and they would all be dead. Then master would blame me for acting violently again. Oh, let it be. I shall lead the sheep astray conveniently and meet plot with plot so that they won't be able to live here anymore. Dear Pilgrim." With a single somersault, he leapt straight up to the South Heaven Gate. He so startled the divine warriors Pang, Lu, Gao, Go, and Bi that they bowed, and so alarmed Ma, Zhao, Wen, and Guan that they bent low. "Good heavens," they cried. "That character who disrupted heaven is here again. No need to stand on ceremony, all of you," said Pilgrim, waving his hand. "And don't be alarmed. I came to find Virupaksha, the broad-eyed Devaraja." Before he had finished speaking, the Devaraja arrived and greeted Pilgrim, saying, "It's been a long time. I heard some time ago that the Bodhisattva Guanyin asked the Jade Emperor for the services of the 4 sentinels, the 6 gods of light and darkness, and the guardians to protect the Tang monk as he goes in quest of scriptures in the western heaven. She also said that you would become his disciple. How do you have the leisure to be here today?" "Don't mention leisure," said Pilgrim. "The Tang monk met some wicked people on his journey who are about to have him burned up. It's an extreme emergency, and that's why I've come to borrow your fire-repelling cover to save him. Bring it to me quickly. I'll return it the moment I'm finished with it." "You are wrong," said the Devaraja. "If wicked people are starting a fire, you should go find water to save him. Why do you want the fire-repelling cover?" Pilgrim said, "You have no idea what's behind this. If I find water to save him, the fire won't burn, and that will benefit our enemies instead. I want this cover so that only the Tang monk will be protected from harm. I don't care about the rest. Let them burn. Quickly, quickly. A little delay and it may be too late. You will botch up my affairs down below." "This monkey is still plotting with an evil mind," said the Devaraja, laughing. "After looking out for himself, he is not worried about other people." "Hurry," said Pilgrim. "Stop wagging your tongue or you'll upset my great enterprise." The Devaraja dared not refuse and gave Pilgrim the cover. Pilgrim took it and descended through the clouds to the roof of the Chan Hall, where he covered up the Tang monk, the white horse, and the luggage. He himself then went to sit on the roof of the back room occupied by the old monk in order to guard the cassock. As he saw the people lighting the fire, he pressed his fingers together to make a magic sign and recited a spell. Facing the ground to the southwest, he took a deep breath and then blew it out. At once, a strong wind arose and whipped the fire into a mighty blaze. What a fire, what a fire. You see rolling black smoke, vaulting red flames. With rolling black smoke, all the stars vanished from the vast sky. With vaulting red flames, the earth slid up, made crimson for 1,000 miles. Made crimson for 1,000 miles. At the beginning, what gleaming snakes of gold. Soon thereafter, what imposing bloody horses. The 3 southern forces display their might. The great god of fire reveals his power. When dried wood burns in such fire intense, why speak of Suren, drilling fire from wood? When colored flames shoot out of hot oiled doors, they match even the opened oven of Laojai. This is how fire rages ruthlessly, though no worse than such intended fraud as not suppressing misdeeds and abetting violence. The wind sweeps the fire and flames fly up for some 8,000 feet. The fires helped by the wind, so ashes burst beyond the ninefold heaven. Ping, ping, pang, pang. They sound like those firecrackers at year's end. Po, po, la, la. They're like the roar of cannons in the camps. It burns till the Buddha's image cannot flee from the scene, and the temple guardians have no place to hide. It's like the Red Cliff campaign in the night, surpassing the fire at Yipang Palace. As the saying goes, one little spark of fire can burn 10,000 acres. In a moment, the strong wind and the raging fire made the entire Guanyin Hall glowing red. Look at all those monks. They began to bring out the chests and carry out the drawers to grab for tables and snatch up pots. A loud wailing filled the whole courtyard. Pilgrim's son, however, stood guard at the back while the fire-repelling cover securely screened off the Chan Hall at the front. The rest of the place was completely lit up. Truly, the sky was illuminated by brilliant red flames, and bright gold light shone through the walls. No one knew, however, that when the fire had begun, it had caught the attention of a mountain monster. For about 20 miles due south of this Guanyin Hall, there was a Black Wind Mountain, where there was also a Black Wind Cave. A monster in the cave, who happened to turn over in his sleep, noticed that his windows were lit up. He thought that dawn had broken, but when he arose and took another look, he saw instead the brilliant glow of fire burning in the north. Astonished, the monster said, "Good heavens! There must be a fire in the Guanyin Hall. Those monks are so careless. Let me see if I can help them a little." Dear monster. He rose with his cloud and went at once to the Palace of Fire and Smoke, where he discovered that the hall's front and back were entirely empty, while the fire in the corridors on both sides was raging. With great strides, he ran inside and was about to call for water when he saw that there was no fire in the back room. Someone, however, was sitting on the roof, whipping up the wind. He began to perceive what was happening and ran quickly inside to look around. In the living room with the old monk, he saw on the table colorful radiance emitted by a package wrapped in a blue blanket. He untied it and discovered that it was a cassock of silk brocade, a rare Buddhist treasure. Thus, it is how wealth moves the mind of man. He neither attempted to put out the fire nor called for water. Snatching up the cassock, he committed robbery by taking advantage of the confusion, and at once turned his cloud back toward the mountain cave. The fire raged on until the time of the 5th watch before burning itself out. Looking at those monks, weeping and wailing, they went with empty hands and naked bodies to rummage about in the ashes, trying desperately to salvage a scrap or two of metal or valuables. Some attempted to erect a temporary shelter along the walls, while others, amid the rubble, tried to build a makeshift oven so that rice could be cooked. They were all howling and complaining, but we shall say no more about that. Now we shall tell you about Pilgrim, who, taking the fire-repelling cover, sent it up to the South Heaven Gate with one somersault. He handed it back to the broad-eyed Devaraja, saying, "Thanks so much for lending it to me." The Devaraja took it back and said, "The great sage is very honest. I was a little worried that if you did not return my treasure, I would have a hard time finding you. I'm glad you brought it back." "I'm glad you brought it right back." "Do you think that old Monkey is the sort of person who steals openly?" asked Pilgrim. "As the saying goes, return what you borrow, and again you may borrow." "I haven't seen you for a long time," said the Devaraja, "and I would like to invite you to spend some time at my palace. How about it?" Pilgrim said, "Old Monkey can't do what he did before, squatting on a rotted bench and dispensing lofty discourse. Now that I have to protect the Tang monk, I haven't a moment's leisure. Give me a rain check." He took leave of the Devaraja quickly and dropped down from the clouds. As the sun arose, he arrived at the Chan Hall, where with one shake of his body he changed again into a bee. When he flew inside and resumed his original form, he saw that his master was still sleeping soundly. "Master," cried Pilgrim, "it's dawn. Get up." Only then did Tripitaka awake. He turned around, saying, "Yes, indeed." Putting on his clothes, he opened the door and went out. As he raised his head, he saw crumbling walls and seared partitions. The towers, the terraces, and the buildings had all disappeared. "Ah!" he cried, greatly shaken. "How is it that the buildings are all gone? Why are there only scorched walls?" "You are still dreaming," said Pilgrim. "They had a fire here last night." "Why didn't I know about it?" asked Tripitaka. "It's old Monkey who safeguarded the Chan Hall," replied Pilgrim. "When I saw that Master was sound asleep, I did not disturb you." "If you had the ability to safeguard the Chan Hall," said Tripitaka, "why didn't you put out the fire in the other buildings?" "So that you may learn the truth," said Pilgrim, laughing, "just as you predicted it yesterday. They fell in love with our cassock and made plans to have us burned to death. If old Monkey had been less alert, we would have been reduced to bone and ashes by now." When Tripitaka heard these words, he was alarmed and asked, "Was it they who set the fire?" "Who else?" said Pilgrim. "Could it be," asked Tripitaka, "that they mistreated you and you did this?" Pilgrim replied, "Is old Monkey the sort of wretch that would indulge in such sordid business? It really was they who set the fire. When I saw how malicious they were, I admit I did not help them put the fire out. I did, however, manage to provide them with a little wind." My God, said Tripitaka. "When a fire starts, you should get water. How could you provide wind instead?" "You must have heard," said Pilgrim, "what the ancients said. If a man has no desire to harm a tiger has no intention of hurting a man. If they hadn't played with fire, would I have played with wind?" "Where's the cassock?" asked Tripitaka. "Has it been burned?" "Not at all," replied Pilgrim. "It hasn't been burned, for the fire didn't reach the living quarters of the old monk where the cassock was placed." "I don't care," exclaimed Tripitaka, his resentment rising. "If there's the slightest damage, I'm going to recite that little something, and you'll be dead." "Master," cried Pilgrim with alarm, "don't start your recitation. I'll find the cassock and return it to you, and that'll be the end of the matter. Let me fetch it so that we can start on our journey." Tripitaka led the horse while Pilgrim took up the load of luggage. They left the Chan Hall and went to the room at the rear. We now tell you about the monks who were still grieving when they suddenly saw master and disciple approaching with the horse and the luggage. Scared out of their wits, they all said, "The wronged souls have come to seek vengeance." "What wronged souls are seeking vengeance?" shouted Pilgrim. "Give back my cassock quickly." All the monks fell to their knees at once, saying as they kowtowed, "Holy fathers, just as a wrong implies an enemy, so a debt has its proper creditor. If you seek vengeance, please understand that we had nothing to do with this. It was the old monk who plotted with big plan against you. Don't make us pay for your lives." "You damnable beasts," cried Pilgrim angrily. "Who wants you to pay with your lives? Just give me back the cassock and we'll be going." Two of the monks who were less timid said to him, "Father, you were supposed to be burned to death in the Chan Hall, and yet now you come to demand the cassock. Are you indeed a man, or are you a ghost?" "This bunch of accursed creatures," said Pilgrim, laughing. "Where was the fire? Go to the front and look at the Chan Hall. Then you can come back and talk." The monks got up and went to the front to look. Not even half an inch of the door, the window, or the screen outside the Chan Hall was scorched. One and all were awestruck and became convinced that Tripitaka was a divine monk and Pilgrim a celestial guardian. They all went forward to kowtow to them, saying, "We have eyes but no pupils, and therefore we did not recognize true men descending to earth. Your cassock is at the residence of the old patriarch at the back." Tripitaka was deeply saddened by the rows of crumbling walls and damaged partitions they went past before arriving at the patriarch's chambers, which were indeed untouched by fire. The monks dashed in, crying, "Aged father, the Tang monk must be a god. He hasn't been burned to death, though we have hurt ourselves. Let's take the cassock quickly and give it back to him." But the fact of the matter is that the old monk could not find the cassock. In addition, most of the buildings in his monastery had been ruined, and he was, of course, terribly distressed. When he heard the monks calling, how could he have the courage to reply? Feeling utterly helpless and incapable of solving his dilemma, he bent forward, took several great strides, and rammed his head into the wall. How pitiful. The impact made the brain burst, the blood flow, and his soul disperse. His head stained the sand as his breathing stopped. We have a poem as a testimony which says, "So lamentable is this blind old monk. In vain he lives among men to such old age. He wants the cassock forever to keep, not knowing how uncommon is Buddha's gift. If you think what endures can come with ease, yours will be sure failure and certain grief. Big plan, great wisdom, of what use are they? To gain by others' loss, what empty dreams." Shocked to tears, the monks cried, "The patriarch has killed himself, and we can't find the cassock. What shall we do?" "It must have been you who stole it and hid it," said Pilgrim. "Come out, all of you. Give me a complete list of your names and let me check you off the roll one by one." The head residents of all the upper and lower chambers made a thorough accounting of all the monks, the dudas, the young novices, and the Taoists in 2 scrolls, and presented Pilgrim with some 230 names. Asking his master to take a seat in the middle, Pilgrim went through the roll and examined the monks one by one. Every person had to loosen his clothes to be searched thoroughly, but there was no cassock. They then went to hunt through the trunks and chests that had been salvaged from the fire, but again there was not the slightest trace of the garment. In dismay, Tripitaka became more and more embittered toward Pilgrim until he began reciting the spell as he sat there. Falling at once to the ground, Pilgrim gripped his head with his hands, hardly able to bear the pain. Stop the recitation, he cried. "I'll find the cassock." Terrified by what they saw, the various monks went forward and knelt down to plead with Tripitaka, who only then stopped his recitation. Pilgrim leapt straight up and whipped out his rod from his ear. He would have struck at the monks had not Tripitaka shouted for him to halt, crying, "Monkey, aren't you afraid of your headache? Do you still want to behave badly? Don't move and don't hurt people. Let me question them further." The monks kowtowed and begged Tripitaka, saying, "Father, please spare us. Truly we did not see your cassock. It was entirely the fault of that old devil. After he got your cassock last night, he started crying until very late. He didn't even bother to look at it, for all he had on his mind was how he might keep it permanently as an heirloom. That was why he made plans to have you burned to death. But after the fire started, a violent wind arose also. Every one of us was also concerned with putting out the fire and trying to save something. We have no idea where the cassock has gone." Angrily, Pilgrim walked into the patriarch's room, pulled out the corpse of the old man rammed to death, and stripped him naked. The body was examined carefully, but the treasure was nowhere to be seen. Even if they had dug up 3 feet of the ground in that room, there would have not there would have been not a trace of it. Pilgrim thought silently for a while and then asked, "Is there any monster around here who can become a spirit?" If father hadn't asked, said the abbot, he would have never known about this. Southeast of us, there is a Black Wind Mountain, in which there is a Black Wind Cave. In the cave is a black great king, with whom this deceased old fellow of ours used to discuss the Tao frequently. He is the only monster spirit around here. How far is the mountain from here? Asked Pilgrim. Only 20 miles, said the abbot. The peak that you can see right now is where it is. Pilgrim laughed and said, "Relax, master. No need for further discussion. It must have been stolen by the black monster." "That place is about 20 miles away," said Tripitaka. "How can you be so sure that it was he?" "You didn't see last night's fire," said Pilgrim, "when its light illuminated great distances and its brightness penetrated the threefold heaven. Not just for 20 miles, but for 200 miles around it could be seen. I have no doubt that he saw the brilliant glow of the fire and used that opportunity to come here secretly. When he saw that our cassock was a treasure, he grabbed it in the confusion and left. Let old Monkey go find him. Who will care for me while you are gone?" asked Tripitaka. "You can relax," said Pilgrim. "You have in secret the protection of the gods, and in the open I shall make sure that the monks wait on you." He then called the monks over, saying, "A few of you can go and bury that old devil, while the others can wait on my master and watch our white horse." The monks at once agreed. Pilgrim said again, "Don't give me any casual reply now, only to grow slack in your service after I'm gone. Those who wait on my master must be cheerful and pleasant. Those who look after the white horse must take care that water and hay are fed in proper proportions. If there's the slightest mistake, you can count on me I don't even know where that came from. If there's the slightest mistake, you can count on meeting this rod. Now watch." He whipped out his rod and aimed it at the seared bricked wall. With one stroke, not only did he pulverize the wall, but the impact was so great that it caused 7 or 8 more walls to collapse. When the various monks saw this, they were all paralyzed with fear. They knelt to kowtow with tears flowing from their eyes and said, "Father, please be assured that we shall be most diligent in caring for the Holy Father after you are gone. We wouldn't dream of slacking in any way. Dear Pilgrim." He swiftly mounted the cloud somersault and went straight to the Black Wind Mountain to look for the cassock. Thus it was that truth-seeking gold cicada left Chang'an. With gifts he went westward, passing blue-green hills. There were wolves and tigers as he walked along, though merchants or scholars were rarely seen. One foolish monk's envy abroad he met. His refuge solely was the great sage's might. The fire grew, the wind came and wrecked the Chan Hall. A black bear at night stole the embroidered robe. We do not know whether Pilgrim found the cassock or not, or whether the outcome of his search was good or bad. Let's listen to the explanation in the next chapter. If only Monkey could do things properly and not act like an idiot. Like, all he had to do was cover the building like he did, leave it at that. But he always has to go one step too far, just like freaking Goku giving a sensu bean to freaking Cell. I'm just saying. All right, I will be right back. See, right back. Are you talking to me with this, Legatus? Don't I know how those should be pronounced, so Dermy can't claim otherwise. It's a good question, Dom. I don't want to imagine that, like, at all. No, thank you. Interesting. So in StreamYard, when I pull this up, the background, so like the letters are white and the square is black. But when I look at it on YouTube, it's the opposite. So the letters are black and the square is white. Is it white for you guys? Like, is the how YouTube looks for me? Maybe it's Brave, just being weird with websites. Yeah, he basically did, Kel. You are not wrong, but I feel like you have an advantage over me because you've watched the movie. Does it differ a lot from what we've read so far? What's the name of the movie again? Is it just Monkey? Is that the one you guys watched at least? Because I feel like there's multiple ones. Oh, it definitely did. Karma's a bitch. Yeah, he wasn't so likable. Say hi to Wheels. Hey, Michael, you have like multiple names. Shut up. Hi, Andy. How's it going? I presume, if you're still here, that you probably just dropped the like, and that's why there's a thumbs up. Which could potentially mean you're not still here, and I was talking to dead air. Brothers are terrible. How many times have we heard in this book so far he whipped out his rod? I know, it's awful. And I'm too much of a child to keep a freaking serious face. Are we there yet? Where precisely should we be? Huh, Mud Crab? And hello, by the way. You might be a little bit late, yeah, but you can catch up later if you want. So you knew why I was the bro actually ended up letting him outside though. It wasn't in the movie, huh? Monkey was the TV series. I knew I was mixing something up. Okay. I'm not going to be nice to my brother. He's not nice to me. Don't you be nice to him. Hey, Zombie Box. How's it going? It was good timing to come into, I think.
How dare you?
Just you shut up. They can't see you because I have a small screen. No. I'm not letting. No. I will not let this shenanigans take place. This is my stream. Okay, so the movie's called Journey to the West. This is not to you, chat. This is to my brother, but...
It seems like it's just that. Look at this.
Shut the fuck up. I hate you. Well, it's cool that you're here, even if a little late. Thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. Less so the people that are on my brother's side. I'm just saying.
Everybody's on my side.
Shut up. No, they're freaking not. Shut up. Brother. Yes, they are annoying. Yours is a simp, though, Dom. Mine is not a simp. Thank God. I would have to hurt him if he was. How many realities is that, Cliff? Can you count them? Nothing in the movie would spoil the book, huh? That's interesting. And you said it was Journey to the West, right? Is it? Oh, it's very loosely based. Interesting. Okay. I guess I could have watched it with you then. Don't talk. Why did I bring that up? Much better.
I mean,
Michael,
Ball is very loosely based on the Journey to the West.
many things are very loosely based off.
Exactly.
Legatus, he is in a lot of chats as mods for my tiny little part of the internet that I'm in.
Okay,
He says your beard is much better than Dermy's.
I know that. Because I'm a man and Jeremy's a cat boy.
I don't know if y'all can hear him, but he just called Dermy a cat boy, and he says that he's a man, so that's why. No, don't hail team brother. Okay, I'm done. Chat and brother, not friends. Not allowed. I do love chat, even though you're being rude and siding with my brother. Don't do that. Red Cliff earlier, and now we need to watch that movie. So I've never even heard of that movie, Kel. Dom, you know why I'm not going to say what you said. He doesn't want to hear it either, so he's definitely not on your side in that. Our family.
Why would I need to hear anything from, fifth inning supporter?
I really hope you heard that, Dom. Miguel, can you bring me food?
What food do you eat?
I don't know, a piece of cheese or something.
I'm a mouse.
I kind of am a mouse. Zombie Box Reviews says, even a lady with a beard is much better than Dermy's. You are not wrong. Especially his beard right now. For no particular reason whatsoever. Not allowed, Cliff. Just don't even start. Kel is correcting you, Michael. Dermy is not a cat boy. He is a bunny boy. Which is technically true. Although, Kel, I will push back a little because he does like the cat version of Catwoman. Like the furry.
Don't take kindly to interspecies relations here.
I do not at all support this chat bro conversation. Why did you give me the most difficult freaking... There we go.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were a retard.
Thank you. Yes, Dom, he called you a fifth inning supporter. Oh my God. Mudcrab, I need you to go into Ballbusters on Friday, to which I'm not going to be on. I might swing in the beginning. But I'll be traveling starting Saturday. I need you to go in giving him shit for this. Because he has a furry kink. I wonder if I can bring up the image. Give me a second. I need to just start saving this image. Okay, putting it into Google because Brave search sucks sometimes. Haha, see? Which image do I want to show? This one. This is something that Dermy finds attractive. Yeah, it's sharing. Okay. Can y'all see that? There. And then, is there another image I can find? Here. Here's an image. Chat, do you guys find this attractive? In any form or fashion? Here's the other image that was shown. See, this was, I think, 2 Chatterdays ago where Dermy decided to admit this, and then he tries to cry foul that he does not have a furry kink. What do you guys think? I'm pretty sure he has a furry kink, just based on that. But Dom, why? What's wrong with the 5th inning? Is there like 99 reasons that something's wrong with it? Isn't that his? He's 99, right? Yeah. I don't see the problem with the 5th inning, Dom. Do you know the percentage of the darkness of your chocolate holiday mints? Because I don't think it's actual dark chocolate. Needs to be 70 or above. Well, it is Dermy. He's probably gay for Batman, yes. Yeah, the cat. I'm not going to look for that, but if you want to look for that on your own, Cliff, you do you, boo. I like how you had to get around YouTube for that one, Kel. Well done. I gotta look what up, Dom? His number? Yeah, just to be sure. I don't want to make a joke that's incorrect. So if you're into hairy women, don't give him excuses. No, he is into Catwoman as an actual cat. A furry Catwoman. When you asked me if you let him to pussy, he shows you that image. It's true. I really should just always have that at the ready and then just share it in Ballbusters as frequently as possible. See, it could be dark enough, Kel, but then they overly sugar it as well. I'm not judging because most holiday candy is going to be like that anyway. Why? Why? I don't give a shit about Aaron Judge to memorize his fucking number. Yeah, it's like a football number. I don't give a shit at all. Especially because he's a Yankee, I want to make it the opposite number, but I can't because it's the same number. This right here, truth. Legatus knows what's up. The only 99 that matters is Wayne fucking Gretzky's. Especially in this sense. I don't know why I'm holding the mic is over here, so I'm whispering to it. I don't know what's wrong with me. Don't judge me. Yeah, he doesn't get to be near my cats. That's correct. Zombie Bucks. No. Oh my God. Gross. Gross, gross, gross. You've since this incident learned who Wayne Gretzky is, right? And look, you're forgiven because you're an Aussie, but that only goes so far, sir. Do you get snow there?
Yes.
You shut up. No one asked you. This is why I call you Google.
It's just usually during our summer months.
Yes, I know that. Mainly because I know more Aussies now and learned that last year. So you don't like the dark chocolate taste, Kel. Interesting. I do. Your sound is not working, Dom. Ha! See? Zombie box confirms. It's just you. It's your end. Fix yourself. Ha! Well, at least I can trust Zombie Box. Oh, interesting. If it didn't come with freezing cold weather, snow is great. However, it does, therefore, I hate it. Dom, I'm always shit talking. So do I, Kel. I do not fault you that. I currently have some dark chocolate mint in my fridge, so we are kindred, you and I. Shut the fuck up. Did you eat it all?
Yes.
Michael, there was half a bar left. I don't believe you. There was at least 2 rows.
There's one row left. The bigger one was the almond one.
I know the almond there was more, but I swear there was more. Whatever. I feel like this has devolved. Buy a snow machine. You know, that's valid. The cold does not come with that. I live in Colorado, though, so thank you. Wait, is this all that's left of the... No, this is the mint. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you want the other one? Well, as long as you don't like white chocolate, I won't judge you. Dark chocolate's my favorite. The healthiest for you. White chocolate is plastic. This is going to taste interesting with my apple cinnamon tea. Oh well. When you put Celsius in my chat, I don't know what you're saying. I feel like 10 degrees Celsius is probably hot, but it sounds cold. Okay, does not taste as weird as I thought it would. Well, it worked out. Bonus mint. No, it's not chocolate. It's fake chocolate. People love to call it chocolate, though. Well, see, that's what's weird. So, like, Christmas time in Aussie land is summertime. For them. What do you consider Easter candy? Like Peeps? Or like, what are those? Are they like, God, what are those? The little eggs. Cadbury egg. Blech. I hate those. Zombie Box, you're in Scotland. Did I know that? And thank you, Legatus, for the translation. So it's not hot, but it's definitely mild. See, that's fucking weird. 100 degrees is hot. 37 is not hot by any logic. America is right. Everyone else is wrong. I bet it is freezing there, though. It's been really windy here. What was interesting about this, in 2018, I took my mom on one of our tours. I work for a tour company, if anyone chat does not know that. And we go all over the planet, basically. So I took her on a tour to the UK because I'm a white mutt, essentially. We went in October 2018. And there were only like 2 days out of the like 2-week trip where it rained, and every other day of the trip, and that was when we were in the Lake District, and every day after that was just sunshine. I can't remember the one place that we stayed, but we were basically like seaside. It was in Ireland. But we were like right by the beach. It was gorgeous, beautiful. Oh my God. I didn't go to a lot of places in Scotland, just to Jedburgh and Edinburgh. Like we drove. But that's where we stopped. And we stayed the night in Edinburgh, which was really cool. The Prince's Park, my mom and I walked that, and then we sat and listened to like the cannon from the castle. That was really cool. I like the UK. Well, back then. I don't really want to go back in modern times right now. Okay, so your interpretation of Easter candy. Jelly beans, Reese's, candy eggs, too much peanut butter to chocolate in the ratio. Malted milk balls. Bleh. Gross. No, thank you. Christmas candy is way better than Easter candy. You're wrong. Not hot until it passes 40 degrees. Well, yeah, because that's like, what, 80 or something? I don't care. You're wrong. That's all it is. It's fine. It's okay to be wrong. You don't have to explain. I like this. This is a good way to... Water lives matter. Robin's eggs. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Gross. No, thank you. Little malt ball things. Never liked those. Mad mocked your accent. Of course he did. Yeah, he's a good dude. He's like my internet bro. Okay, I probably have a lot of those, technically speaking. But he's like my internet big brother. The Weather Channel. Nerd. -12 feels like -18. This it's like reading this is just a foreign. I can't translate any of this. Convert those using 18th century terminology. Honestly, that just like looks like a stupid scientific mathematical equation that I'm a language person. Thank you. I don't do the other side of the brain stuff. Yeah, I bet it is expensive there. I'm sure it's like a tourist hotspot too. What is the Tim Tams? Is that what the brand is for the really, really, really good chocolate cookie type things? You guys have mud crab Tim Tams? Tim Tams? I'm pretty sure it's Tim Tams. And don't you guys like drink your coffee through it? Or is that just some touristy thing like Foster's? What you tell the tourists, but it's not actually what you guys eat or drink. But apparently I am correct. Tim Tams. If you guys in chat, not in Australia, well, maybe even in Australia, and you haven't had Tim Tams, you need to try them. They're delicious. Flurries all day, Kel. That sucks. I mean, we still have snow from election night, so the 5th is when it started, and then where's my calendar? Freaking ended that Saturday morning. So from the 5th through the 9th, it just snowed in like the Denver metro area straight. It might have been a light snow at certain points, heavy snow, constantly snowing, except for like 1 to 3 hours at a certain, I think it was on Friday, where it lightened up a little, and then it picked back up into Saturday morning. So we still have snow from that, from the 9th. No me gusta. No me gusta nada. No gracias. I don't want it. Hobnobs. Oh, I had something over in the UK. I took a picture of it because I loved it. They were like these cheese crackers, and I can't. Is it still on my phone? I hope it's still on my phone. Cheddars. Yeah, they were really good. They're like little cheese biscuits. Crackers. These were really good. Like my mom and I can't remember where we were at, but we like went into a random grocery store. They were just really yummy. Yeah. I spoiled her. We flew over in like premium economy, which is basically like first class for poors like me. Oh, and then we went to the Cliffs of Moher, which are amazing. It was a lot of fun. Good times. Best part of where you live during Easter, mainly Passover, the grocery store sell kosher Coke. Oh, Gotcha. You know what RFK is going to bring back to the States? No more high fructose corn syrup. God, that shit's in everything and it's killing us all. So annoying. Not that I like drink this type of stuff anymore or anything, but or eat Tim Tams. I cheat sometimes. You can do the suck thing with Tim Tams, but you need to be quick or they go mush and fall into the bottom of the mug. So because I work in travel, like I discover these types of things, and someone had went to Australia and brought a bunch back so we could all do the thing essentially. And so I did learn that. It was very weird. Like you bite the corners and then you like drink the coffee through the straw of the cookie is basically what it is. Chocolate covered cookie. Those are really good though. Ew, Kel, what is wrong with you? Well, you men, you always run hot. Why women are always cold. Inch and a half of snow. Civilized people. You say whatever you want, sir. At least you converted it for me. I appreciate it. Flapjack, digestive biscuits, cookies. What was it? The hobnobs. That's what those were. Okay. Although, what do you consider a flapjack? It's really fun to go visit other countries and see different cultures. I really enjoy it. I caught that bug. Technically, the country bug was from the military, but I caught the travel bug when I was 16 and went to the East Coast. The weirdest experience of my life was driving on the East Coast because I'm from Montana. Montana is the 4th largest state in the union. It takes like a full day to drive through the state. So like Colorado, Wyoming is above us, and then Montana is above Wyoming. My parents still live in Montana, so next week we'll be driving through Wyoming. Driving through Wyoming is a day feat. It's in itself, but it's not like it's like 8 hours versus 12 hours for Montana type of thing. Slight exaggeration on both of those. Feels like it. So I'm used to the big Western states. I'm 16, went with my best friend at the time. Her family lives on the East Coast. We went to go visit her grandparents, and then we drove from South Carolina up to Scranton, Pennsylvania in one day. It was 11 freaking states. Maybe it wasn't 11 states, maybe the total at the time because of that drive that I'd gotten to. When prior, I'd only been to like 3 other states. So it might have been 8 states in a day. But it was really freaking weird because we'd stop at the like welcome to such and such state signs. So freaking weird. Like, oh my God. Because we were stopping so frequently. We like, okay, here's another state, blink and you miss it type of situation. It was so I couldn't believe it. It's crazy. And then when I graduated high school, I went to visit my sister who was in Connecticut, I think. And we took like a day trip. Did we take the train? I think we might have taken a train to New York City. Only time in my life I've been to New York City was that day. And it was just one day. And we went to like Times Square. Unimpressed. Don't like your city, Dom. Never going back. Unless I have to. Really don't want to. Oh no, I forgot to turn Vegeta on this entire time. Ugh, how rude of me. I'm sorry, Vegeta. Dumb. Yeah. I really enjoy. So like when I was in the Marines, I got stationed in Japan. I went to the Philippines and Guam while I was in. But then I got this job when I got out of the military. it was like a year and a half after I got out, and I've been there ever since. So I've been a lot more places. Well-used passport, and I really enjoy it. Costa Rica, friggin' amazing. I love it there. I could totally retire there, but I don't want to because I like being free. But it's a really cool place to visit. I loved it. And then we have river cruises that we do with my company. And that ruined me for motor coach travel, like bus travel, because I love the water. So random shit that you guys get to learn about me because I'm just talking and talking with everybody in chat. Greg's sausage rolls. No, I have not. I did enjoy what's that popular brand of like butter biscuits? Scotties? Or is it just like a Scottish Terrier is on the tin? But yeah, I like those. They're butter cookies, right? Or butter biscuits. I'm gonna get Coke made with real Coke again. Maybe. Real sugar. Probably. Fly out to the States next year. I haven't looked up for. Yeah. Be careful about those memes, man. They're killer. Freaking commie bastards. First time you're in North America, couldn't work out why Coke tastes so different for ages and got. Yeah. High fructose corn syrup. Because the FDA has to approve everything. I hate Coke, by the way. I am a Pepsi girl. I don't drink soda, pop, whatever. Haven't in a long time. Random craving, maybe once a year, if that. I'll drink like a root beer. And if I do that, it's generally a root beer float. So, JB, hello, friend. How are you? 2 states between South Carolina and Pennsylvania. 4, including Pennsylvania and South Carolina. Wait. I don't remember where we were at. I just know that it was several states that we drove through. I hate the East Coast geography, by the way, because like my brain cannot wrap around how tiny those states are. So I'll take your word for it. It's possible. Yeah, no, I swear to God. It's all in one day. Could have been multiple days. I don't know. Whatever. I hate the East Coast. Could have done like a detour, I guess. Cliff, shut the fuck up. So my brother, because as you very well know, is in a wheelchair and can't walk. He loves to drive. There was a point where, yes, we would switch, but he is very stubborn. I'm so not. It's definitely not something that runs in our family at all. So he likes to do the majority of the driving, and if he needs it, we'll switch. But no. We're used to 15-hour drives, 14, 15 hours. Our parents, so they sold the house that we grew up in 2018, and that was only a 12-hour drive, and then they moved 2 hours northwest-ish. So it became a longer drive. So we're used to that. That's why we kind of just drive everywhere. One of his medical issues he has to fly gives him headaches. So driving is our forte. Yeah, so he does most of it. Shortbread. Thank you. Shortbread cookies. Oy, I don't know why. Like, what is wrong with me? Butter cookies. I'm really glad you were able to interpret that, zombie, because I don't. Yep. You get to see how my brain functions tonight or malfunctions. Like I torture my brother with all the time. So you drive from New York to Florida a lot when you're younger. I hated it because oh, wait, you get motion sick when you drive? So I get car sick, but it's only if I'm a passenger. If I drive, I don't get sick. That's interesting. Or do you mean that someone else was driving and you would get motion sick? And you just didn't say, like my dad or whoever used to drive. Yeah, shortbread cookies. Look at you. Thank you, Google. It's so weird how tiny the states are. Like my brain just malfunctions, but it tends to do that. No. I don't want any states the size of y'all's states. Provinces, sorry. Also, fuck your taxes, by the way. I hate having to calculate those when I price out tours. Fuck the East Coast, except for Boston. And kind of fuck half of Boston, too. It is part of Massachusetts and a bunch of lefty freaks. I am not a dangerous driver. I'm just a fast driver. There is a difference. He's used to it. He used to be able to walk with, like, he'd have braces on his legs and then, like, the wrist crutches, like the crutches that go around your wrist. And they have, like, a little handle you hold on with your hand. But when he was 16, he got some rods put in his back to straighten his spine out, and too painful for him to walk like that anymore, so he couldn't do that. Oh my god. Oh, that's gotta suck. Did he not have a freaking why is the word slipping? Cliff, help me. I don't know if you remote or T. The dude helping him back up and shit. A battle buddy. Helping him with the mirrors and shit. If you're under 21, you have to show ID to buy an energy drink because some are down 30 plus energy drinks in less than 24 hours. And no shit, he died. What? Good Lord. Darwinism right there. But sucks that he died. But damn. So he's still a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine, but I'll allow that. The Humvee lost. But if you're in an armored, unless maybe you're saying something, but not saying something about that person, where they got dishonorable discharge or something. If you're in an armored vehicle, you should be marshaled and do exactly what they tell you to do. So if they tell you to reverse, you reverse. Well, the thing is, like, when you're in the bigger vehicles, like, you need to have someone standing outside telling you not to hit something. There's a term for it, and I can't freaking remember it. What is wrong with me? I only get motion skills for the woman who's behind me. I see what you're saying, sir. Somebody else is driving. Oh, you're bringing cash there. You should have said something, goofball. I would have told Cash to get in the back. Kratos did? I'll have to give him shit for that. Really? Yeah, spotter works, yeah. Fuck that guy. They didn't have anyone dismounted and he has 0 depth perception. Well, I mean, depending on the size of the vehicle, he can't see everything. Like, it's just impossible, but... Oh, and of course he's in the freaking education system saying shit like the unalived comment here. Motherfucker. Screw that guy. Fuck him. The TDS is insane, man. Yeah, nah. I feel bad for y'all over there. I mean, we're being invaded too, though, so. Oh, no. It's a well-deserved moniker at this point for that person. It's not a spotter, but it's something else. And I can't, it's driving me crazy too, Cliff. At least I'm not the only one. And it's not Battle Buddy. That's gonna bother me. I would help out Motor T. Just because I was a comm Marine. So like we pretty much, yeah. What is that term? No, we're not going to read another chapter. I'm about to end. I figured we could chit chat for a while, apparently. And my brother too. See, in Japan, I was SATCOM. Because they didn't have my job. And then they merged my job with fucking radio. No, thank you. I miss when that was separated. Guide dog. No. Clever, but no. See, you're talking terms that I don't necessarily fully understand, sir. Because it was used as an AFB instead of an APC. I'm not so well read on those things. I want to call a guy a marshal, but maybe that's an Australian term. It's definitely an Australian term. Or a term that I'm just not familiar with. I was only 4 years active. That was a long ass time ago. I got out in 2012. Well, technically on paper is January 2013. But I had terminal leave for like 30 days. So it was December 2012. Honestly, don't care what your political leanings are as long as you treat me with respect. Yep. I'm the same way. I've gotten less and less tolerant of bullshit, but I don't completely discard you unless I've been given a very good reason to do so. And words aren't really a good reason. Supporting kids being brought into the equation for certain things. Might disassociate from that. Will. All right, everybody. I have been going for 2 hours and 40 minutes. This has been a long stream. It was a lot of fun. It's cool to chat with you guys over random shit. and bring my brother into the conversation, I guess. Yeah, thanks for hanging out for this long. This has been great. Make sure you like, share, subscribe if you want to share, if you liked it, if you want to subscribe, and you haven't already, obviously. Do so. I appreciate you all. Have a good night. And follow me on Twitter and all of that stuff. And I always say where I'll be, when I'll be, things like that. Next week, tentatively, maybe streaming from Montana. It might be a different time, just depending, like I said, when we get back from hunting, and get done with dinner and things like that, family stuff. But otherwise, if I don't chat with y'all next week, have a good Thanksgiving, American friends. Have a good week, non-American friends. And enjoy your evening.